Before we start, if this moves you, please subscribe and leave a like. Every bit helps. Support links in the comments. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
The last box left at noon, and now the hallway echoes back my name. I walk past her empty room, still smelling like her perfume and her rain. The fridge is full of things she doesn't eat anymore. I didn't know how loud a house could be before the door stopped opening, and you came to find me sitting on the stairs. Didn't say a word, just put your hand in mine, like you've done 1,000 times. The house got quiet, and somehow we filled it with everything we used to save for later. The house got quiet, and I heard you breathing, and I remembered why I fell in love with you. We made spaghetti for two, and it felt like a revolution. Set the table by the window, let the evening in. There were no schedules pulling at our sleeves, just this ordinary miracle of having room to breathe. You laughed at something small, I don't remember what, but it was the first real laugh we'd had in years, and it landed like a gift. The house got quiet, and somehow we filled it with everything we used to save for later. The house got quiet, and I heard you breathing, and I remembered why I fell in love with you. All those years of beautiful noise, homework and heartbreak and holiday joy, we wouldn't trade a single loud and glorious day. But the kids are gonna be alright, and tonight the moon is ours, and this quiet is a kind of grace I didn't know to pray for. The house got quiet, and we let it be. Poured some wine, turned on the old record. The house got quiet, and it sounded like the life we always meant to live. The last box left at noon, and something new walked through the door. 27 years and you still surprise me. I wasn't expecting that. Last Tuesday you told me something about your childhood. I'd never heard before, just sitting there like a gift. And I thought I knew every room in you. Turns out there are doors I haven't opened yet. And what a thing that is, that the person sleeping next to me is still a mystery in the best possible way. I'm still learning you after all this time, and I'm still learning you. I'm still learning you. Every year another page I haven't read. You are the one book I will never finish, and I am grateful every day. I'm still learning you. You started painting last October, out of nowhere, like there was something in you waiting for permission. And I watched you stand in front of a canvas with a face I'd never quite seen on you before. That's the thing about a person, they keep becoming, and being here to see it is a privilege. Because I could have stopped paying attention, I could have assumed I had you figured out. Thank God I stayed curious. I'm still learning you after all this time, and I'm still learning you. I'm still learning you. Every year another page I haven't read. You are the one book I will never finish, and I am grateful every day. I'm still learning you. Here's a secret that the long-term lovers know: the people who made it are the ones who stayed interested, who looked across the table and still saw someone worth knowing, who kept asking questions past the point they thought they had the answers. That's the whole practice, staying curious. I'm still learning you, and I hope I never get to the last page. I'm still learning you, and every new thing is a reason to stay close. You have surprised me more in 27 years than anything I thought I understood. I'm still learning you. May I spend the rest of this life finding out what I still don't know about you. Loving you was never really the hard part. Choosing you again, that was the work. After the beautiful and before the ordinary, when the choosing didn't feel like a feeling, just a word, I stayed. Because I made a promise, then I stayed because I wanted to. And somewhere in between those two, the love became something I trust. There's no ceremony for this kind of courage. No one marks the day you decide again. But I think it's the bravest thing I've done. This is the grace of staying, not the falling but the holding on. This is the grace of staying, when the beautiful is quieted to something softer, and you choose it anyway. Again, again, the grace of staying is the love I'm proudest of. I've watched people trade in their history for something shinier, looking for the feeling that we all eventually move past. But what's on the other side of that familiar and that earned is a kind of knowing love that's rare and meant to last. I don't want to start over, I want to go deeper with the one who already has my whole geography. Yeah. This is the grace of staying, not the falling but the holding on. This is the grace of staying, when the beautiful is quieted to something softer, and you choose it anyway. Again, again, the grace of staying is the love I'm proudest of. We talk about forever like it's one enormous moment, but it's made of 10,000 Tuesday mornings, of choosing the known face across the known table, of finding grace inside the daily and the quiet. That's where the real love lives. This is the grace of staying, and I would choose it in 1,000 other lifetimes. This is the grace of staying. You don't have to earn it, and it doesn't have to shine. Just show up, choose again, and let the ordinary be the miracle. That's the grace of staying. Of all the things I've done, staying is the one I'll never regret. I was looking at you this morning, and something stopped me. The way the light came in and found you where you stood. All the years written into you like rings inside a tree trunk. And I thought, God, I wouldn't change a single thing I'm seeing. You said us something different from the start, a forever version of the way we looked at 22. But what I see in you is better. What you look like now is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen up close. What you look like now is someone who has lived and loved and bore it. Every silver strand, every quiet line is every year I got to keep you here with me. What you look like now is mine. You laughed the other day, and I could see the young one in you, right there underneath the face that time has touched. And both of them are you, and both of them I love. But this one right here is the one who knows me best. The world is always looking somewhere else, but I'm right here, and I see exactly what I've got. And it's not less, it's more. What you look like now is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen up close. What you look like now is someone who has lived and loved and bore it. Every silver strand, every quiet line is every year I got to keep you here with me. What you look like now is mine. Live in a world that doesn't want to age, chasing back whatever it imagines it has lost. But I've been watching you walk into this season, and darling, you are everything that's worth the cost. This is not a consolation prize, this is the main event. What you look like now is what I hope I get to keep looking at forever. What you look like now takes my breath the same as it did. Then I didn't think it was possible to love you more, but here I am, completely wrong again. What you look like now. May I spend the rest of my mornings getting stopped by you in the light. Didn't leave when leaving would have been so easy. And I went dark for months and barely said a word. You made the coffee, kept the lights on, kept believing in a version of me I could barely see myself. And I know I don't say it enough, but every morning that you're still beside me feels like something I don't deserve. Still here, still here, when the ground was soft and the sky was uncertain. Still here, still here. You were the reason I came back to certain. I don't need a miracle just you still here. The years have warmed some edges into something softer. I've learned to hold things loosely, learned to let things go. And you were patient through the stubborn and the anger. Now look at what survived all that we didn't know. There's a kind of love that doesn't make the movies. It's quieter than that, it's deeper than the words, but it shows up every morning. Still here, still here. When the ground was soft and the sky was uncertain, still here, still here. You were the reason I came back to certain. I don't need a miracle or a long explanation, just you still here. I've seen people walk away from harder things than this. I've seen good love dissolve like it was never real. But you chose this, and you chose me, and you chose us again. And I'll spend the rest of this life making sure you know. Still here, still here. Every scar between us holds the story of our staying. Still here, still here. We're not perfect, but we're something I believe in. And I'll take imperfect love over an empty room any day. You're still here. Of all the things that came and went, you're the only one I never wanted back, because you never left. Came from somewhere I have never been, through doors I'll never open, a different river running through your history than mine. Two maps that didn't overlap until that particular evening, when something in the universe just quietly aligned. What are the odds of all of that? Every detour, every wrong turn brought us here, exactly where we're standing. We took the long way home. Every heartbreak was a road that led here. We took the long way home. Every loss was just a wrong road getting clearer. I wouldn't erase a single mile of broken highway. That long way home was always bringing me to you. The things I did before I knew you, I used to call mistakes. Now I think of them as chapters in the book that I was riding, without the falling short and starting over. All the roads I didn't finish, I wouldn't have known what I was looking for. So I hold it all a little differently now, with gratitude for what I thought had ruined me. That was just the path unfolding. We took the long way home. Every heartbreak was a road that led here. We took the long way home. Every loss was just a wrong road getting clearer. I wouldn't erase a single mile of broken highway. That long way home was always bringing me to you. And I think about the version of us that might have met too early, before the years had smoothed out all the jagged in our edges. The meeting wouldn't have been this. This is the right time, the right place, the right us. The long way was the only way. We took the long way home, and every mile was worth the taking. We took the long way home, and now that I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. Pull the car into the driveway, let the engine cool, let the evening come. We're home. I used to wish I'd found this sooner. Now I think the timing knew what I didn't. I used to fill every silence. I didn't trust what lived inside it. Kept the radio on, kept the calendar full, kept running past the things I was afraid to feel. It took me years to understand that what I was avoiding was exactly what I was looking for. And then I found it, not in any grand arrival, just here, in this house, in this life, with you. The quiet that is full of something. This is where the quiet lives, not in the empty but in the earth. This is where the quiet lives, in the middle of a love that the years have confirmed out. Been looking for this peace in all the louder places, but it lives right here, in the quiet with you. There's a sound this house makes after 10 at night, when everything settles into itself. You're breathing the low voice of the trees outside, the sense that everything that matters is accounted for. I never thought I'd be someone who loves the dark, but I am, because this dark has you in it. And nothing is missing from this moment, not a single thing This is the life I was becoming all along. This is where the quiet lives, not in the empty but in the urn. This is where the quiet lives, in the middle of a love that the years have confirmed. I've been looking for this peace in all the louder places, but it lives right here, in the quiet with you. They said that getting older was the thing to fear, and I was afraid. I'll give them that. But what they didn't mention was the quiet that comes with it, the deep relief of knowing who you are, of being known completely by at least one other person, and resting in that knowing without apology. This is where the quiet lives, and I am finally fluent in its language. This is where the quiet lives, and I would not trade a single decibel for this. Let the world be loud, we'll be right here, where the quiet lives. Together, everything I was rushing toward was this, exactly this right here. I used to move my chair so you'd have more room, pulling my elbows, lower my voice, leave before noon. I learned to laugh at jokes I didn't find funny, learned to need less, ask for less, cost less than money. But somewhere in the middle of all that shrinking, I caught myself disappearing, and I started thinking, there's room enough for me at this table, room enough to breathe, room enough to stay. I've been folding myself into corners for the very last time today. I've worn polite like a coat in the August heat, kept my opinions quiet on every crowded street. But the years have a way of asking what you traded, and I've got answers now that won't be understated. I'm not looking for a fight, not looking for an audience. I'm just done with all this quiet disappearance. There's room enough for me at this table, room enough to breathe, room enough to stay. I've been folding myself into corners for the very last time today. It wasn't one moment, it was 1,000 1,000 small surrenders, a lowered hand, a swallowed word, a fire down to embers. But embers don't go out, they wait, and I've been waiting long enough. There's room enough for me at this table, room enough to speak, room enough to stay. I spent so long folding myself into corners, but I'm taking up my space today. The chair fits just right when you stop moving it away. You forgot you kept. I answered the daughter, then wife, then mother. Wore every name like it belonged to another. Kept mine in a drawer like a thing out of season. Forgot I had reasons that were only my reasons. The mirror kept asking a question I've been avoiding, a face I half recognized, a life I'd been borrowing. I wanna hear my own name in my own voice, spoken without permission, spoken by choice. I've been living in the margins of someone else's story. It's time I walk back into my own. I know every landmark on everybody's road, carried everybody's map, everybody's load. But somewhere between the giving and the guiding, I left myself standing at a crossroads undecided. I'm not erasing all the love that shaped me, I'm just reclaiming what was always waiting. I wanna hear my own name in my own voice, spoken without permission, spoken by choice. I've been living in the margins of someone else's story. It's time I walk back into my own. There's a woman, there's a man in the photograph from years ago, eyes wide open, full of something I let go. I've been chasing that look in the faces all around me, when all this time that look was here inside me. I finally hear my own name in my own voice, not an apology, a choice. I've been living in the margins long enough now. I'm walking back into my sounds different when you mean it. It doesn't anymore. One plate on the table, one glass of red wine, one candle I lit just because the light looked fine. No one to consult about the music or the hour. No performance, no pretending, just me and the power. And I waited for the loneliness to walk through the door, but it stood outside a moment, and then came no more. The table I set for one is the most honest thing I own. Not a consolation, not a wound, just coming home. I used to need an audience to make a moment real. Now the quiet is the feeling I was always meant to feel. I used to fill the silence with whatever noise was near. A television, a telephone, a reason to appear. Busy enough to miss myself, crowded enough to hide from the person who'd been knocking, patient from inside. But the knocking got too gentle to keep ignoring, and I opened up the door one unremarkable morning. The table I set for one is the most honest thing I own. Not a consolation, not a wound, just coming home. I used to need an audience to make a moment real. Now the quiet is the feeling I was always meant to feel. This isn't giving up on love or locking out the world. It's knowing who you are before the next chapter unfurls. I've sat at crowded tables, feeling utterly alone. Now one chair and one candle feel more full than I have known. The table I set for one is the most honest thing I've found. Not an ending, not a settling, just solid ground. I used to think that solitude was something to outrun. Now I light the candle slowly, and I savor every one. Some of the best company I've ever had has been my own. BPM 66 to keep the peace intact. Opinions, mornings, versions of myself I can't get back. But somewhere in the giving there were things I held on to, small and stubborn seeds of who I always knew I knew. They weren't loud enough to notice in the noise of all those years, but they were growing in the quiet underneath the smiles and tears. All that I kept is all that I am, the thread that ran through everything, the original plan I've been. But I didn't break, I drifted but came back. All that I kept was enough to find my way from there. A journal in a drawer that nobody ever read, a song I hummed in private, certain things left unsaid. The part of me that watched from somewhere slightly to the side, taking careful notes on everything I couldn't say out loud. That witness never left me, never traded me away, and I'm grateful for that quiet keeper every single day. All that I kept is all that I am, the thread that ran through everything, the original plan I've been. But I didn't break, I drifted but came back. All that I kept was enough to find my way from that. To anyone who's wondering if anything survived the years of compromise and caretaking, of swallowing the tears, something in you kept the flame behind the hand that hid it. You'll know it when you feel it, you never really lost it. All that I kept is all that I needed, more than I imagined, more than I considered. The thread that ran through everything was stronger than I knew. All that I kept has brought me here, and here is finally true. The self you protected in the quiet years was worth every bit of keeping. I showed up to my own life like a guest who wasn't sure. Stood a little sideways, kept one hand on the door. Gave my half attention to the things that needed all of me. Saved my real self for a someday that I couldn't clearly see. But someday has a way of being always just ahead, and I woke up to the distance between living and half dead. No more half life, no more half year. saving the good dishes for a day that won't appear. I've been giving everyone the edited version of my time. No more half-life, the whole thing's mine. I half believed in dreams I never let myself pursue. Half committed to the mornings, half present to the view. Half in love with my own life, but always holding back, like I needed someone's permission just to stay on track. But permission is a currency I'm done waiting to receive. The only one who has to authorize this life is me. No more half-life, no more half-year, no more saving the good dishes for a day that won't appear. I've been giving everyone the edited version of my time. No more half-life, the whole thing's mine. I've sat at sunsets thinking I should feel more than I did. Kept the volume low on joy like some well-practiced kid. But I'm not practicing anymore, and this is not a rehearsal. The life in front of me deserves my full and unreserved arrival. No more half-life, no more half-seed, no more standing at the edge of what this life could mean. I used to save myself for something I couldn't define. No more half-life, I'm walking in, the whole thing's mine. The good dishes were always meant for an ordinary Tuesday. Been so many versions of a person almost right, almost what they needed, almost worth the fight, almost comfortable in my own skin on a good day, almost honest in the things I didn't quite know how to say. Almost has a weight that only gets heavier with time. And one morning I woke up done with almost, done with the almost life. Finally me, not the version I rehearsed, not the one who always put her own name last and everyone else's first. Finally standing in the middle of my own life without apology. Finally me. There's a photograph from years ago. I couldn't look it straight. Something in the eyes I'd learned to keep behind a gate. But I found it on a Sunday when the light was coming through. And for the first time in a long time I said, I remember you. And the distance between then and now felt like a road worth walking. Not a loss to grieve, but a story finally worth telling. Finally me, becoming. Finally me, and it feels like coming home, like a song I always knew the words to, but had never sung alone. Finally standing in the center of this one and only life. Finally me. The longest journey any of us takes is back to who we always were.